Sawtooth Dave, what's happening, y'all? Kicking it with my Miss Socks right here. She usually pops in the video anyhow. I might as well start the video that way. Let's do it right. Let's do it right, big girl. Sawtooth Dave, what's happening, y'all? All right, well, I missed last week. My bad. I told people I didn't have time, but truth be told, I made a video that sucked. I ain't have time to make another one, so you missed it. Lots happened in the couple weeks. So, we're going to get with it. I missed AZ Knife Meetup. It's just last minute notice for me, and you know, the business and stuff. Like, I just didn't have time. I couldn't make it work. I was like an hour away, and it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon by the time I could have made it. So it just didn't work out. Oh well. But my bro, Scotch and Things, and just call me Hefe, which I don't know if you want me to call you your real name or not. You let me know if real names are cool with you or not. They flew in Phoenix yesterday. I picked them up, brought them to the hotel, and we hung up. Went to a bar. I didn't drink, but they did. Bullshitted, talked knives, got a few things shifted around. You know how it works. But it was good to finally meet Steve. Like, me and him been talking for a long time to finally meet him in person and stuff. It was really cool. While I'm on that train of thought, he didn't realize, I guess maybe I don't disclose it enough, I don't know. But I still got plenty of sawtooth scales. So, people that are looking for sawtooth scales, there's just one example. Hit me up if you're interested. All right, enough of that. So, going back a couple weeks that I was on, I had talked about the Skype. This is the all DLC one. I think everybody's pretty much familiar with this at this point, or if you ain't, then you can go back and watch videos. And I pretty much, before I started modding it, I asked if anybody had, you know, any inclinations into wanting it. It just so happens that Plethora Blaze was like, hey man, why don't you do a swap with me? Worked out fine for both of us. And for Plethora, if you've watched me on Instagram, you've seen it. But for Plethora, yes, I got the Megalodon DSK. So this thing, he's been actually trying to sell it for quite some time and hadn't been able to sell it. Well, at least for the money he wanted for it. And it's kind of like Medford's, man. Like, a lot of these knives, they don't hold their value because the initial person that wants it, and there's no other place to really get something like this unless you go secondary. And then secondary, you're kind of like at the mercy of fit and finish, or not to say fit, but finish of whatever the knife is. You know, if you get it new, you pretty much can dictate it. But I'm pretty sure Plethora got this one from Arizona Custom Knives, and by his own admission, he overpaid for it. So he knew he was going to take a loss on it. But anyway, we just ended up working out a swap. And this used to be his, and now it's mine. I'm going to do a size comparison here in a second. But while I'm talking about Plethora Blaze, he was talking about maybe having a knife sale and doing some things like high quality knives. So if y'all are interested, you should probably go hit him up, Instagram, see what he's got. And I'll get into more of the Skype thing in a second here. If you hear the dog walking around, he's up and hanging out today. It's super windy outside. Let's do size comparisons, shall we? Oh, by the way, let's just talk about this thing for a second. By far and away, the biggest, baddest flipper I've ever handled. And when I say biggest, baddest, like, the kickstand is a big ass flipper. For those who have handled the kickstand, it's a big flipper. It's a big guy, right? Here we are. Let me turn him so you can see him from the show side. It's a little more goofy for me holding the camera, but here's the Megalodon. How we do this? Sorry, I'll figure this out in a second here. Professional YouTubers. So you can see it's still a big knife, but that Megalodon dwarfs it, man. It's a big knife, man. The Megalodon's a super big knife. The feel of this is different than the kickstand. The kickstand has a, you know, an action that's kind of tuned for, you can do the finger flick, and you can do the thumb. So it's real versatile, and you got the flipper, but it's not really tuned specifically for that flipper, right? Like, it still works fine. You see how fast it comes out. It still works fine. It's just not particularly tuned for that flipper. And it's kind of that weird long flipper, the unconventional. This one's got the more of the normal style. Actually, it kind of reminds me of like a hammer of a pistol. But you can see it's tuned for a flipper. It's got that action that's perfect. And all the DSKs are on bearings, but the finish on this one, that's the stonewash blade with a little bit of darkening around the outside, flame darkened. I'm not usually huge on that flame stuff, but when he does like this, I like it. This is just enough. Pocket clip looks kind of small. It kind of sort of doesn't look like it goes with a knife, like from aesthetically looking at it, but when you put it in pocket, it works great. And even Plethora hit me up on Instagram. Was like, dude, how you carrying that thing? I was like, man, it's just like a normal knife for me. And like, I'm just one of those idiots that like these huge, big ass knives. So this didn't carry bad at all to me. And even with the pocket clip the way it was, like it just can't that weight to the outside of your pocket when you're carrying it. It worked great for me. Absolutely loving this knife right here. Absolutely badass knife. So a couple of unique features from this one over the other DSKs I have is it's got that kind of dragon spine. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of sort of can. I'm kind of rotating where you can kind of see it. So it's kind of got that dragon spine on it. But the most unique thing is it's got a backspacer. And none of the other DSKs I have, they all have these standoffs. Almost all of them. So this one's got a backspacer, and it really makes a huge difference. Huge difference. And I wish you'd do more backspacers for like these kind. But in the DSK line, it shows some comparison. You already showed you against the kickstand there. This is the VLX. Did I say it wrong? VXC. VXC. I'll get that wrong a lot. But you can see it's kind of a similar style handle. I kind of recurve back like that. It's kind of that similar style handle. This one I fell in love with instantly as soon as I put it in hand. And that's kind of what this one, it just feels familiar. Like I didn't have to adapt to it at all. You know, sometimes you get new knives, you got to learn how to use it and adapt to it. Nah, not with this one at all. This one just immediately perfect. Like I really like this knife. This is a perfect size, perfect weight, perfect everything for me. I love this style knife. Such a bruiser. And so compared to like a more normal knife that someone else might have that's into these kind of knives, this is my 187 DP that I did the finger choil little nubbin removal enhancement on. But for size comparing for these, so that you guys can see, it's a much bigger blade. It's way bigger. Overall knife just dwarf it, right? But you can see the handle itself is really not that much bigger than the 187. So if you're familiar with the 187s, obviously this one's, the DSK is thicker, but it's not that much thicker. It's not really, like in hand, doesn't feel that much bulkier. It's definitely heavier, but it doesn't feel that much bulkier than the 187 does to actually use it. And you got that forward choke up spot. You can get pretty far up on that knife. Like you can see I'm almost to the end there. I mean, granted, I got probably bigger hands than a lot of people do, but I can almost choke up to the end of that and still get somewhat of a fine task like I can this way. I can do really pretty fine tasks with it. So yeah, it's a big blade, but you can make it work, right? Anyway, a huge addition to the collection. Once again, shout out to Plethora Blades. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Seriously appreciate it. I'm super stoked with that one. If you can't tell, like I'm a huge DSK fan, and like any addition I can make to the collection for DSKs wise, I'm welcome to it. I like the bigger of the DSK. Some of the smaller stuff doesn't really appeal to me as much, but there's a few models that I haven't even seen that he did. He saw one recently that I'm like, oh, I got to get that one. Quick update on the heater. This thing's still a badass. It's definitely a cool ass knife. Got a lot of traction on this on Instagram. People didn't know about it, which is kind of seems weird to me not knowing about it. But you can see once again against the heater, the Megalodon it truly dwarfs it, man. I mean, this is a big knife. This is a huge knife comparatively. But really different feel in the hand, completely different. And this one's got all that, you know, the thumb hold, the finger flick, and the flipper kind of thing. And it all kind of works differently. All right, dude, you gotta chill out, lay down for a minute, right? Can you lay down for me? Or just at least stay still? All right, so I talked about Steve coming, us hanging out for a little bit. I wish I had more time, man. It's just like one of those, I knew he was kind of coming, but I didn't know exactly when. He didn't know exactly when. What time he let me know was like a couple weeks, and all I basically could do was squeeze an afternoon and evening, and it was like 2.5 hour drive for me. So we didn't have as much time as I would have liked, and I'm sure he would have liked to have that longer too. But I told you I traded this other one to Plethora for that DSK. But Steve had got this one a while back. Actually, when he was on vacation, I think in Texas, he was asking me about it. And Aaron had asked me about this one a while back too. But Steve, it didn't gel with Steve for whatever reason. Like it not that he didn't like the knife, he just didn't carry it and didn't really know why he didn't carry it. But he hit me up before he even came to Arizona and asked me what I thought. And I was like, you just bring it with you. I'll take it off your hands. So yeah, I got another Skype. And this one is different enough that when I show you the differences, it'll kind of, hopefully you guys will get why I got this one off of him. This is what I'm planning on doing mods. Matter of fact, as soon as I turn this video off, probably gonna get cracking on them mods. All right, let's go over some differences. So first of all, you can see this is a thumb hole, and this one's the thumb stud. So that's a huge difference as far as like just a feel of it. I didn't think that I'd be able to finger flick this one because it's a single-sided thumb stud. But if you look through there, see there is the nubbin hanging off just enough that you can actually get on the back side of it. I don't know if Steve did that or not, but you can get on the back side of it, hook that finger, and just finger flick it out. Like it worked great for that for me. So this thing Like, honestly, between the two, the action on this one, the way it's set up, everything, I like this one better. The action on it, the feel of it, it makes me remember my older, because this technically is be my fifth, my fifth Rogue Shark that I've ever owned. This one just feels different. So this one has more lock bar pressure. You can also see it's got the SCK on this one, and this was the solid frame. So this is a 2.5. This is a 2, from what I gather. I think both these are actually 20 CV blades, though. This one might be 3V, but I can't remember what Steve said, if it's 20 CV or 3V. But this one's 20 CV for sure. I think this one's 20 CV. Well, this one's flat ground. So the primary bevels are both flat ground, both sides, and that secondary bevel is also V ground on both sides. This one is a huge, deep hollow ground. This one gets way thinner than the other one does, but you can see there's no edge on this side, right? So the secondary is chisel ground. You can see someone did a pretty good mirror on this one. I don't think it came from Pete this way, but it could have. I don't think it did though. It's a cool knife, man. And it's kind of funny because, like, you can find some of the refinements that he wanted to do this one, you can find them on this. It does have some differences, but overall I still want to modify this one to make it more what I want. So it's different enough. I'm keeping both of them, and I'm just going to modify this one a little more. Obviously you can see that this is flamed. It ain't gonna be flamed next time you see it. Same with the hardware. It's not gonna stay the same. What else I have planned? I don't know. Probably just minor stuff that, like, makes me like the knife better. So a lot like the tier, the Shimano tier that I was talking about. There's some rough edges that you may or may not care about. Like, some people like that rough edges for, say, ferro rod and that sort of thing. Other people, like me, that I tend to just use it more in my hand, like have it more in my hand, and I'm not using it for like a survival knife or nothing. I find I like a little bit smoother edge. So like the edge of the blade here, it's not sharp, like it ain't gonna cut you sharp, but there's definitely an edge there. It needs an edge break to me. And there's some other little things like that that I'm gonna tweak in and make this one more my own. But I'm super glad to have it. I'm glad Steve brought it. Ironically enough, I had bought and that's the one purchase I have had this year. I bought a Microtech DOC. I don't know if I should even say this shit. I had it out of the package, flipped it maybe half a dozen times. Saw Steve, he liked it, so he ended up with it. It'll probably be on his channel, but we haven't worked out the deal yet, but it's going to be a worked out deal. Like, I think both of us are happier with the knives that we have, and, you know, it's probably a little more lopsided, like, in my favor. Like, I kind of got a better knife than what he got, but as far as value wise goes, so I'll make it up to him. He maybe Satu scale on a backspace. I don't know. We'll work it out. We haven't yet, but we will. Let's see what else is happening. I'm supposed to give other people shout outs. I don't know. I got so much going on that I don't want to sit here bullshit with this camera, not knowing what the hell I'm supposed to be saying anyhow. But good to finally see you guys again. Not that I'm seeing you, but you seeing me, I guess. And we'll try and catch up with the whole regular every week kind of thing. Dog says hey too. You want to say hey, big guy? No, he don't want to say hey. He just lets you know he's there. All right. Well, let's do it. Fuck it. Hey, dickhead. Say hey to the people. Say hey to the people. Look over here. Come here. Look. Fucking he ain't gonna say hey. All right. Y'all be cool. See you next week. Later.